An introduction to Cornerstone, the best damn page builder you will ever use. Cornerstone is a website page builder, and the first question might be, what in the world is a page builder and why do we need one? I'm going to start this tutorial by going to the front end of the website. Now, traditionally in WordPress, you would have an edit page button here at the top, which will bring you to a sort of Microsoft Word looking content editor that you would have to use with copy and pasting text and images, and you know how difficult it is to like realign an image in Microsoft Word. We all know this, the pain. You're going to have to use a system like that to try and build the best website that you possibly can. It was very limited, very outdated, and the X team has provided something that's truly incredible and makes our lives way, way easier. So this is how the website looks in the front. You've got the navigation bar here at the top, and then everything pretty much below that is the content area where we're actually going to be building your website. All these sections, rows, and columns that we've been working with so far, all that magic is going to happen here. So what you'll want to do, and I'm just going to do this as an introduction, is if you hover over the top here, there's a little X button. You're going to click on Cornerstone. This is going to show you a list of all the pages available on your website that you're going to edit. For this tutorial, I'm just going to edit this little dummy homepage that I've made. And this is basically what Cornerstone looks like. You've got the front end of your website here on the right-hand side, and this is where we're actually going to be building things and dragging and dropping things around. And you've got the options panel on the left-hand side and this additional options panel that runs down the left-hand side. I'm going to run you through these one at a time from the top left and down. So if you click on this menu button over here, it's going to bring up some options. If you click on content, it's going to show you those list of pages again. You can also edit things like the website templates, the global box, the colors that affect your website, your fonts, and some additional options as well. I don't use this as much though, except for the content, which will allow you to jump around within pages without having to go in and out all the time, which is pretty handy. Going down here on the left, you can click the CSS button to bring up the custom CSS panel, which is very handy. You can do that on the fly. Same for JavaScript. This is for skeleton styles, and that basically breaks down Cornerstone into a little visual representation of what's there without the actual picture, so you can drag and drop things around. This will make a bit more sense later on. Very importantly, you've got the settings button over here. Now, you must have noticed by now that this layout is not looking the way that our design is looking, because here is like a bit of a content sort of area, and we've got the sidebar on the right-hand side. If I click on the settings button, it's going to bring up some general options for the website. Like I can change the title of the website, whether this page is published or a draft, whether I want to allow comments or not, which is very cool. This used to be a mission. If it has a parent page, or if I'm using a template. You can also change some of the options, but look through these when you've got the time. Now, the most important thing that I want to change is the page template. Now, this offers all the different sort of layout options that I can choose for this page that I'm working on. And the one that I want to work with right now, it says blank, no container, header, and footer. Now, I know you probably have no idea what that means, but what this means is that it's a blank page with nothing on it, so no sidebars or anything. It has no container, so there's no constrictions either on the content, and it has a header, which is your navigation area, and it has a footer, which is what we want on every page. I'll show you now what this does. Clicking on that, I'm going to say done. And it's updated. Now you can see this is completely blank. There's no sidebars, no funny business. It's a blank slate that we can actually start building on. All right, cool. Moving down on these options, there was the settings there. Next one that's very cool is this little mobile device icon. If I click that, you will see some options arrive here at the top. And when I click through these, it'll show me how my website is going to look on the different device sizes. Now, in the modern world of mobile responsive phones and tablets, this is extremely important and very handy that you can just check how this looks on the fly. I'm going to switch that off. If you click this button over here, it's going to open your website in a new tab so that you can preview how your website is looking. I haven't saved, so nothing has happened yet. Below that is a little arrow that allows you to hide the actual options to get a better look. Below that is some keyboard and shortcuts that you can look through that might help you along. And then the ever important holy grail of save button. And as you can see now that I've saved, if I go and refresh this, it's going to show the blank page. Cool. Now going back to Cornerstone, those are just additional options. The real magic is going to happen in this panel over here. Now this is separated into 3 specific tabs, which is Layout, Elements, and the Inspector. In the Layout tab, we're going to add our actual sections of the website like we've been designing in Photoshop, and here you'll see them appear at the bottom. Little buttons like that where you can add another section and another one below that. If you hover over this area now, you can see that these highlight and you can see what section you're on, and within those sections are the rows, and within those rows are the columns. The reason why you can't see row now is because it's a single row with a single column. But if I click on that, you will see now on the left hand side it's brought up all the options that I can actually adjust for that column that I've clicked on. Now here on top you'll see there's some breadcrumbs, as they're called, that shows me exactly where I am. I'm looking at a column that's within a row, that's within a section, right? Now all of these options are very cool. Go through all of them one at a time, and you're going to learn how to use these properly in the tutorial that's up and coming, where we'll build the actual website. But using these breadcrumbs, I can go from the column that I'm in back into the row that that column is in, and then into the actual section itself. Now, if you ever get lost on where you are, you can just click this Manage Layout button, and that's going to show you what section you're in, how many rows you've got, and within those rows, the kind of layout that you've got. Now, what's pretty cool is that here I'm in section 1. As you can see, there's 1 row and 1 column. If I just click this button, it splits my existing row into 2 columns. Now, if you've ever worked with WordPress back in the day, you'll appreciate just how difficult that used to be and how simple this is now. And you can just click through these options to get all the different kind of cool layout options that you need, all the way down to 1/5 fractions. And the cool thing is that you can even click on this custom button and you can customize the layout according to the fractions that you want, so long as it makes sense. So these are 1/5. But let's say I want to change that. I'm going to backspace here, and I'm going to change this to 4/5 and 1/5. And you'll see that it's now spread all the way to the end with one little piece here on the end. And you can chop and change these around as you need. Cool thing is as well, now it's showing my layout down here at the bottom, is I can grab this and I can move it over to the left if I want. So I don't need to change the fractions. I can just drag these around. Very, very, very cool and very handy. Now, closing this, I just want to have a good look at the sections that I've got. Now, as I mentioned, there are sections, there are rows, and there are columns. Within one section, I can also add multiple rows within the same section. As you can see here, I'm still within section 1, and there are now different rows. I'm going to take this second row, I'm going to manage the layout, change this into a 1/2 and 1/2, and the bottom one, I'm going to change into quarters, so that you can see. Now, the inspector over here basically is anytime you click on an element and it brings up the options for that element or for that row, whatever it is that you're working on. So as you can see now, these rows are pretty stuck together. I need to add some options to spread them apart. If I hover over here so that I'm over the row and I click, it's going to bring up the options here on the left. And what I would just want to do is I would just want to boost up the margin on top, and you can see on the right how it's changing, to just give it some spacing from the row above. And I'm going to do the same for this one, just unlinking that, and now we've got some spacing. Now, in case you're asking why would I want multiple rows within one section instead of just having different sections, it's because, let's say for example in section 1 I want to have a specific background color like this, let's say this dark gray, and yeah, it's cool, it is that easy. You can also change and upload images, video backgrounds, all that sort of stuff. It's awesome. So now in the first section, I've got 3 rows that I can have different elements on, and then the second section I can do the same with a picture, etc., etc. You get the idea. Cornerstone is awesome. It allows you to just build like this on the fly, and I have built some pretty insane websites within about 48 hours using this, because it just makes your life so much easier. Now I'm going to go back to the beginning, just to the layout tab, just so we can start from scratch. Okay, so now you understand that this is where the sections and the layout options happen for the actual website page. The inspector which is this little icon here, by the way, this little magnifying glass, I can inspect any row or element I want, and I can change the options. Go back to layout. The one that I haven't touched on yet is the Elements tab. Now, Elements has all the awesome little features and widgets, basically, that you can drag and drop into your website that is going to help you build every little section of your website. For example, I can grab something like an accordion, just drag it over and drop it into my website, and there it is. And I could just click on that accordion and it'll bring up the options on the left hand side that I can edit to change the actual live website here on the right hand side. Now, nothing will happen until you save, so just keep that in mind. But you get the idea. Come and have a look through all of these elements when you've got a chance, because understanding what all these elements do is going to help you to design according to your theme later on, because you have to know what your theme is capable of in order to design for it. You don't want to design something that you can't do, and you don't want to find out later that there was all these cool elements that you never knew about, like, statistic bars and stuff like that that do their own cool little thing. Now, coming back to elements, there are these main elements here at the top, which you can use. And then right at the bottom, you'll see these classic elements. These are from the original Cornerstone, and they are just as effective. And I still use a lot of these. So these are just additional ones that you can bring in that just have slightly different options to the newer ones that are a little bit more user-friendly. But like I say, come stuff around with these when you've got the time. That is a basic introduction into Cornerstone, how it works and how it looks. We're going to run through a proper full tutorial later on, and I'm going to show you how to build our website step by step using this really cool system, and you're going to love it every step of the way.